Yes. Welcome everybody, and welcome to the Victory Formation Sports Show. I am your host, JeffLightsyJr. Come on into the room, because I haven't done a live show in a while with you guys. Hey, Sabrina. Hey, Christopher Dukes. Adrian. I knew Adrian was going to come on here. What is going on? And Adrian said, what media? You mean YouTube platforms? No, there's actual. Even though YouTube platforms are media, let's not get it twisted. They are media. Some of them are very respected media, but there are other platforms that has JSU, because you see the topic. It says, is the FCS media showing too much love to Jackson State? Now, all we have are basic preseason polls, and preseason polls don't really mean a whole lot, but they are showing a lot of love to the Tigers. Not a lot to FAMU and others. So come on into the room, get your popcorn ready, sit back, relax as we get ready right after the bumper. Stay tuned. Yes. What is going on, everybody? My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show. Thank you all for tuning in. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. This got some gold dogs in here. How's it going, Charles? How's it going, Jay White? What is going on? We've got some JSU fans and the faithful in the building, and I know a lot of you are wondering, why did I Alabama A&M could be a team that could be a sleeper in the SWAC as we come up. The media not showing too much love. They're only 20. 20 is pretty high. And 20 is pretty high. So let me give you some context to the topic of conversation, and then I want to hear from you all. So I'm going to put a call-in number on the screen so I can hear from you all, because it would be beautiful to see what you all are thinking as well. So the topic of today's conversation is the FCS media at large showing too much love to Jackson State? As you all know, I've done a video about it before. JSU, in one media poll, was ranked number 20, and another that I've recently read ranked also within the top 20. And they're one of only two HBCUs that have been ranked in these top 25 preseason media polls. North Carolina Central being the other, the reigning defending MEAC champion, the reigning defending Celebration Bowl champion. What is going on, DJB? What is going on, Tom? What's going on, Jay White? So I wanted to ask the people, my audience, the people that listen to me and that tap into me, do you all think there's too much love being shown to JSU? Now, the latest was, if you didn't watch my previous video, I did one video. And the latest poll that I saw was from FCS Nation Radio. FCS Nation Radio is one of the largest FCS, meaning football conference subdivision, one of the largest FCS platforms when it comes to ranking teams, when it comes to write-ups, when it comes to coverage of FCS teams. Them, along with Hero Sports, platforms like the Blue Bloods, they cover strictly FCS. So these are teams that are eligible to play in the FCS playoffs, and this includes HBCU teams. And so in their latest poll, the FCS Nation Radio poll, their top 25, as you see, they have San Diego State at number 1, Montana State 2, Furman 3, North Dakota State, typical FCS powerhouses up there. And then down there at number 19, you see good old Jackson State coming in ahead of Eastern Kentucky, Richmond, et cetera, right below Mercer and UC Davis. And so that was one poll. Well, that was the most recent poll that I saw. And I'm like, they're showing a lot of love. Then there was the Hero Sports preview that we talked about a few weeks ago. Now, this was the Hero Sports preview, top 25 preview, and they had JSU at number 20. So FCS Nation Radio had JSU at 19. Hero Sports, Sam Herder and those guys, this article was written back on July 11th. Their poll came out like in June. They had JSU at 20. So the consensus is, by the national pundits, by the guys that cover FCS nationally, that JSU was a top 20 team. That's not always the case. That hasn't always been the case. Even for a long time when Dion was there, they didn't have JSU in the top 25 all the time. Now, obviously, year 2 they did. Obviously, even towards the end of year 1, they did. But that wasn't always the case. And I'm looking at some of your comments, especially when Lincoln plays a harder schedule. Now, Adrian, we're always good for a good comment from Adrian. And so I'm like, and so you might be asking, why do you think they're showing too much love? It's where Jackson State should be. Why do you think that? Well, part of it is because you're breaking in a whole entirely new team with a bunch of, not to say that they aren't good, they're ranked really high, but a bunch of unproven players. I just try to be objective. And that's what this conversation is about being objective. And whether you think they're ranked too high. Now, we read this article from Sam Herder before, but let's look at some of the key points. Obviously, what matters is talent. We talked about this. Returning FCS all-conference players. You got Matt Noel, who's coming from the MEAC. He was an all-MEAC performer in 2022. And DJ Stevens was second-team SWAC. Positional rankings. They have DJ Stevens being the number 6 tight end in all of FCS football, preseason, and Isaias Guthrie being the number 5 safety in all FCS football. We don't have to talk about the departures because we know he lost 19 to FBS and another 9 to FCS when it comes to the transfer portal. But you brought in 16 FBS transfers, including one, let's call it 3 FBS quarterbacks. Think about this. 16 transfers, 3 of them being quarterback, meaning we're going to find the right quarterback. Another 13 FCS transfers, including All-Americans and Matt Noel and Isaias Guthrie, guys that contributed to some of their big-time programs, some of their FCS programs, and had really, really good years at other schools. And so we read this article before, but I do want to point out, because this is critical when talking about a team that either some people think are going to be really good and others think are going to a team that's very, what's the best way to put it? A very polarizing team in this 2023 Jackson State team. They're very polarizing because it's like you have guys like the FC. Now, think about this. These people aren't paid by Jackson State. They're not paid by the SWAC. They're not on anyone's payroll but their own. And so they have no incentive in just saying Jackson State is going to be good. They are saying Jackson State is a top 25 FCS program above programs like FAMU, Southern, and others. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But they have no incentive of putting Jackson State over FAMU. They have no incentive of putting Jackson State over Southern. Now, maybe you could say they had an incentive when Deion was there, because you want to talk about Deion. Deion equals clicks. Clicks equals money. Money equals, feed your family. But there's no incentive of putting a TC Taylor-led JSU team in the top 25. There isn't one, unless you think they're a top 25 team. It's that simple. There's no incentive unless you genuinely think they are a top 25 team. It's that simple. And why would, so you see all the departures. Look at this departure list. This is a number of guys. 19 departures to the FBS, to major programs. Shane Hooks to Auburn. Obviously, all the guys that went to Colorado. Kevin Coleman to Louisville. Debo Hayes to Middle Tennessee. Willis Patrick to TCU. Geronte Davis to Texas A&M. These aren't small programs. Now, obviously, some of them are. Niles Gaddy to Missouri. These are guys that those bigger programs feel like can come in and contribute right away. Can come in and make plays for their teams. And then other big-time contributors like Herman Smith, Barron Thompson. Those guys were really, really good for JSU. They made plays for JSU. So why would the FCS national pundits, why would the FCS writers, why would these guys who once again have no incentive to put JSU in the top 25, have them in the top 25, especially when you listen to the way this article starts. You return one of your 12 all-SWAC performers, and one just happened, and he's a tight end. No disrespect to tight end, but he's a tight end. You're losing at starting quarterback, top 3 rushers, top 4 pass catchers, and top 8 tacklers. Think about what these national pundits have done. Knowing that JSU lost their starting quarterback, top 3 rushers, top 4 pass catchers, and top 8 tacklers, they still have them in the top 25. And this is what we're talking about today. Of the 38 participating players in the Celebration Bowl, only 12 are back. So out of 38 players that played in the 2022 Celebration Bowl, only 12 are back. But this is why they have them in the top 25. Along with those returners, JSU brought in 247 Sports' number 2 FCS recruiting class, and counting high schoolers and college transfers. Some of those transfers, like Philip Webb from LSU, was a 4-star recruit. Seven McGee from Oregon was a 4-star recruit, and several 3-star recruits. The Tigers not only have brought in many Power 5 transfers who were highly recruited, but they also landed FCS transfers who made impacts on their former teams. He says Guthrie, being one of the best FCS safeties in 2021, earning freshman All-Americans and first-team All-MEAC. A running back from Wofford and Irv Mulligan, who averaged 7 yards per carry in 2021, 859 yards and 8 touchdowns. And also second-teamer John Graves III from Southern Louisiana, who was an all-honorable mention all-conference, and Matt Noe, who's an All-American punter. The talent is there. It's just a matter of who steps up in the roles. The talent is there. The talent is there. So what are we talking about? The FCS pundits, the national pundits, believe that this is a super talented roster. This is an incredibly talented JSU roster. This is what they believe. This is not my words. This is what they believe. And so therefore, that is why they have in them. And they think not only are they talented in respect to HBCU football, they think they have a hell of so much talent that it's worthy of being ranked among the top 25 best teams in the country in the FCS. Now, why is all of this relevant? Why does any of this matter? Why? I mean, some people can say it don't matter because we won't know until the games are played. And there's a number on the screen because I do want to hear from you all. But why does this matter? Well, it matters because SWAC Media Days is a week from today. It's next Tuesday. I can all but guarantee you, just based off the conversations that I've had with coaches, with players, with administrators, with anybody that is anything in the SWAC, I can all but guarantee you Jackson State won't be number 1 in the SWAC. Meaning the FCS pundits have more faith in Jackson State than the SWAC has in Jackson State. And I can take it a step further. There was a poll put out there. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know where this came from. I have no idea. And maybe y'all in the chat can tell me. I just know Craig Hall, shout out to Craig Hall, put this out there. And maybe he created it. I don't know where this came from. I'm going to be all the way honest with you. And this is what I'm telling you. I'm telling you what I know. And this is how a lot of people feel. Craig Hall put this poll out of basically the win percentage of JSU for every game during their season. And if you look at it straight up, yeah, they're favored to win most of their games. They're favored to beat South Carolina State and Bethune and Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Valley, UAPB, Texas Southern, Alcorn. But there's 2 SWAC schools on there that they're not favored to win. And that is FAMU, the second game of the season, and Southern, week 2. At Southern and essentially at FAMU in the Orange Blossom Classic. According to I don't know where this came from, but this just was interesting. It's just very interesting. Expected win total. If you look down here, the expected win total is 6 wins. Chances to win the division is 26%. Chances to win the Celebration Bowl are a mere 4%. Hell, chances to win the damn SWAC championship is 13%. This is I don't know, once again, I have no idea who made this up. So think about the stark contrast. You have national pundits, guys who evaluate every single team or the top teams in FCS, thinking that Jackson State will be a top 25 team. And then you have what I'm assuming a SWAC person. I'm assuming a SWAC person because I have no idea who made this. Once again, I have no idea who made it, but it looks good. And so we're just going to roll with it. It looks really good. Someone from the SWAC believing that JSU will be the 4th best team in its own. Think about this. JSU, according to the national pundits, They're one of only two HBCU teams ranked. Two. You got North Carolina Central, the reigning defending MEAC champions, the reigning defending Celebration Bowl champions, who brought back, if I'm not mistaken, like 19 or 20 starters. They brought back 19 or 20 starters. They brought back 90% of the starters. So, of course, they're ranked. They're ranked in the top 15 in both polls. So, of course, they're ranked. It makes sense for them to be ranked. But then the FCS guys, once again, with no bias, no preconceived notion, don't work for anybody, don't owe anybody any favors, have JSU in the top 25. But then you have someone, once again, don't know who made this graphic, don't have no idea who made this graphic, has JSU as like the fourth best team in the SWAC. Damn, the fourth, top 25 in the FCS. They have them fourth in the SWAC with an expected 6 wins. And I can guarantee you, let me be clear when I say this. I can guarantee you next week when the SWAC polls are put out for, they always do the preseason stuff for the SWAC on Media Day. Who preseason offensive player of the year, preseason freshman of the year, preseason favorites, preseason whatever, right? I can guarantee you, Jackson State won't be the favorites preseason. I can guarantee you they won't. You want to get in here, the numbers on the screen, 727-731-8723. Somebody explain it to me because it's interesting. It is very, very interesting to see. Okay, we have the media at large, meaning the national media, thinking that, JSU, and they can only base it off the talent that is being brought in. So they can weigh the talent of a Jackson State team versus the talent of the other top 25 teams. Meaning the talent on the roster and the talent that you brought in, your coaches, they have to kind of guess with first-year coaches and coaching staffs, but they can base a lot off the talent on your roster, the talent that you were able to recruit, different formulas, different metrics. And according to that, those metrics, just simply based off the talent that is being brought in, the offensive scheme that some of those coaches are known to run, the defensive scheme that those coaches are known to run, they think JSU is a top 25 team. But the folks in the good old SWAC think that JSU will win 6 games. I'm just telling y'all what I'm seeing. I'm just letting you know, wondering if y'all see the same thing. Let me read some of your comments. It says, all this proves that people who cover the SWAC and and maybe you're right. I see my boy Blue Buds is in the building. Shout out to Blue, man. I'm pretty sure he voted on one of these polls. Hell, he might have voted on both of the polls. 6 games, yes. SC, let me read MEAC Mike. If I made a schedule for Jackson State, I would have them open against South Dakota State. Second game, North Dakota State. Third game, Montana. Fourth game against Delaware. I mean, you just have them play the best of the FCS, I see. 6. Look, expected wins. That 6 down there, 6.15, that says on this, it says 2023 expected win total. The expected win total, according to this, once again, it doesn't say who made it. I got it from Craig Hall, a.k.a. @SWAC_BigTimer on Twitter. Shout out to Craig Hall. But the expected win total for JSU in 2023, according to this, is 6 wins. The number's on the screen if you want to get in here, because I am very, very curious. How do you all, what is your theory and logic behind this? Let's see. So you're calling a 215-pound lineman instead a lineman instead of outside linebacker to non-football edge rusher. James, you can Google him. Said, Weekly Awards. So yeah, I'm just curious, man. A person who's never attended HBCU and have I don't know, man. I'm looking at the comments. I'm trying to make sense of it, because how is it that and so here's another thing. So here's another thing to, just something to chew on, something to think about, something to just reflect on and really digest. Can national pundits be this far off? Think about that. And shout out to my boy, the Blue Bloods, Mr. Zach's in the building. But can national pundits be this far off? Because this is a big ass difference. Let's be honest. Top 20 in the country versus only 6 wins in a 10-11 game in a 10, 11 game season, 12, 13 game season, 13 games if you make it all the way to Celebration Bowl, 10 games if you make just the full games if you make it to the totality of the season. 12 games if you make it to the SWAC championship. 13 games if you make it to the Celebration Bowl. So through the duration of a potentially 13-game season, can you be that far off? Because if they believe Jackson State would only win 6 games, they're not going to put them in the preseason top 20. You're not putting a team in the preseason top 20. You're making yourself look dumb. If you think they're only going to win 6 out of a possible 13 games or 6 out of a possible 11, 12, 13 games, then you're not going to have them ranked top 20. And so you have them ranked top 20 because of the talent, because where you think they'll finish. Because if you have them ranked top 20 and they only win 6 games, you're discrediting yourself. You're discrediting yourself. What does Blue say? I'm pretty sure this was made by some random account that has some unknown formula here. And I won't. And here's the thing. He's right. He's probably right. What I'm basing mine off of, now I just thought this was interesting. What I'm basing mine off of is the fact that I know for a fact JSU won't be picked to win the SWAC. Media Day is a week from today. I know for a fact they won't be picked number 1 in the SWAC. I know they won't. They might be picked 3rd. I know FAMU for a fact is going to be picked ahead of them when it comes to the coaches poll, when it comes to the coaching results. I know that for a fact. I know FAM is going to be picked ahead of them. And there's a chance Southern could be picked ahead of them. There's even a chance, now they're in 2 different sides of the conference. One's in East, one's in West. But there's a chance some people believe Alcorn will have more wins than them. Now, I don't know if they'll go that far, but if we're just going off win totals and who folks think will have the better season, I know for a fact FAMU will at least be ahead of them. And so, for the fact that I know that FAMU, by the SWAC coaches, the actual coaches who have to play these games, the actual coaches who have to see each other, the actual coaches who know each other, I know that they're going to pick FAMU ahead of them. So, knowing that I know FAMU will be picked ahead of them, is FCS media showing too much love to Jackson State? I get it. Are FCS media members showing too much love to JSU? Now it says, look at the percentage on the screen. It's more than 6. I get that. I just, I'm not going too hard on this, right? Like this little thing is just funny to me. I did think it was funny. Expected wins and all that stuff. Like Blue said, it's probably all random. But what I am going off of, what I do know is that FAMU will be picked preseason ahead of them. What I do know is FAMU will have more preseason all-conference players than what Jackson State will have. What I do know is that a lot of people across the SWAC believe in the FAMU coaching staff over the JSU coaching staff, whether that's based off the previous 2 years, winning 18 games in the previous 2 years, 9 back-to-back 9-win seasons, back-to-back undefeated SWAC seasons against everybody not named Jackson State. Whether there were close wins, blowout wins, and everything in between, that's what I know. What I also know is that some people believe that Southern has got their quarterback right. Now, this is a alley-oop to my boy Adrian. Some people believe Southern's finally got their quarterback situation right. Some people believe that Dooley will have some good things going. Let's not forget, I see my girl Yard talking here. Coach Hugh Jackson's going to have something to say about what's happening in the SWAC, right? Y'all don't think Hugh Jackson going to have another losing season, right? Right? You get what I'm saying? And so with all of that being said, if you have any comments, the number's on the screen, 727-731-8723, 727-731-8723. With all of that being said, are the media at large, the FCS media at large, are they showing too much love to JSU? Because I know for a fact that JSU won't even be picked to win their own division in the conference. Damn the conference. They won't even be picked to win their own division. I'm just saying. I am just saying. Let me read some of your comments. The number 1 recruiting class, HBCU. Number 2, FCS recruiting class, OC Maurice Harris. DC Jonathan Bradley. National pundits understand what this means. Very, very strong point, Sam. Now, what Sam is getting at, obviously the recruiting stuff, speaks for itself. Maurice Harris, coming from the Liberty tree, coming from the Ole Miss tree, coming from the Hugh Freeze tree, who was able always, one thing is, Hugh Freeze wasn't the most noblest of men, but Hugh Freeze could always coach some offense. Hugh Freeze's teams always scored points, and Hugh Freeze could recruit his tail off. DC's Jonathan Bradley coming from Alcorn. Y'all saw how stingy that Alcorn defense was last year. Y'all seen how Alcorn's able to get down. They play with a ruggedness. They played with a ruggedness. They were strong. They were hard-nosed. They were tough. They were fast. And the recruiting speaks for itself. Let's not start talking about Southern. Why can't we talk about Southern? Why can't we talk about Southern? Because Dooley, say what you want about Coach Dooley. Dooley can coach. I don't always agree with his decisions, but I haven't been coaching for 20 some odd years. Let's see. Let's look at what Blue said. He's always got something dope. He says the computer model, the MEAC rankings, the NCAA uses has JSU at 8.62 wins, which is the 4th highest in the entire country. It has FAMU at under 7 wins this season. Now, this is interesting. So, to his point, to this metric right here, these MEAC, shout out to Zoe, to these MEAC ratings, this is probably what they're basing it off of. They're saying, hey, if I combine the recruiting dominance, let's call it what it is. The recruiting has been dominant for 3 years running, right? If I combine the recruiting dominance with their MEAC rating, this is maybe how I get them in the top 20. I mean, this is what I'm being told. I listen. When people smarter than me talk, I listen. Zoe says that just means everybody across the country in the FCS know we're gonna kick peas. Hey, man. People forgetting Grambling beat Alcorn. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And according to Grambling, they think they figured out the biggest thing with Grambling is they played like 70 freshmen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all talked, didn't Grambling play like 40 freshmen last year? 40 freshmen saw the field for them, including their starting quarterback. Starting quarterback had just finished high school in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Rolled out of bed. Now, you're the starter at Grambling. So, I'm just saying. Man said, the phone lines are open, man. I want to hear what are your thoughts? Because the FCS media, they wouldn't have you. You see the MEAC ratings. We just showed it. My guy, Mr. Zach, Blue Blood from the Blue Blood, said the MEAC ratings has Jackson State finishing with nearly 9 wins. They have FAMU under 7 wins. FAMU under 7 wins. Technically, how's it going, man? A&M starting 5-1 to start the season. Do they play JSU in the first 5 games? Well, in their first 5 games, they do. Week 6, you think they? This is interesting, man. This is some interesting stuff, man. I'm just saying, how is it that, that many national pundits can't be wrong, can they? Ask yourself. Do you really think anybody in the coalition, aka the SWAC, would admit their school is going to lose? They couldn't admit it last year either. Now, to this point, no, I don't think they'll admit that they're just going to flat out and say, hey, we're just going to concede to JSU. But even last year, they knew who the preseason player of the year was going to be. They chose the right guy. They chose Shedeur. They knew who the preseason coach of the year was going to be. They chose Prime. And they picked JSU to preseason to win the conference, right? Because that's what they thought. And it was lock in step with what happened, and it was lock in step with the FCS rankings. Now, this year, that won't be the case. I can guarantee you, I'm willing to put anything on it, just based off the conversations, whether it was publicly. You guys have seen the interviews that I've done with Coach Maynard from Alabama A&M, with Coach Simmons from FAMU. I've done interviews with these guys. I've talked to these guys. I've talked to other coaches within the SWAC. I've had conversations, whether it's on the air, off the air, with other coaches at other schools like Texas Southern and Bethune-Cookman. I had Coach Raymond Woody on the platform. And so I've talked to these guys. One, they're hungrier than ever. I'm going to just be honest with you. They're hungrier than ever. They think this is their year to win the conference. If I've said this once, I've said it 100 times. They believe that this year is the year that they will become champs. They think this year, more so than any other year, is the year for them to step up. So that's why all of them, essentially all of them, went out and got new quarterbacks. Look across the conference. Pretty much everybody went out. If they didn't have an established guy like a Musa, like a Andrew Body, and even they went out and got a few different quarterbacks, but everybody went out and got new quarterbacks. Bethune got a new quarterback. Tyler Macon came to Alcorn. Southern brought in a couple of guys to play quarterback. Hell, JSU brought in 3 or 4 quarterbacks. Everybody went out and got what they think is the right, signal caller. They had to fix the QB position. All of them did. So they all went out and got what they believe is the right signal caller. FAMU stuck with theirs because they believe Musa can be the preseason player of the year. That's who's probably going to – the preseason offensive player of the year in the SWAC when next week, because we still have a whole week, will probably be Jeremy Musa. It'll probably be Jeremy Musa. The preseason defensive player of the year in the SWAC, Mr. Anderson from Grambling. It'll probably be Anderson from Grambling. Anderson from Grambling will be preseason defensive player. This is a guess. It's just me guessing. Anderson from Grambling will probably be defensive player of the year preseason. Offensive player of the year will be Jeremy Musa from FAMU. And then coach of the year, probably Simmons. It'll probably be Willie. I'm just telling y'all. This is me guessing. We can revisit this in a week. In a week, we can revisit this. But I'm telling you, they're not on their side anymore. It's not about picking sides. It was just something that I thought was interesting. Because think about this. How is it that all of these, Jarvie and Howard, I forgot about Jarvie and Howard. They don't vote Jarvie and Howard and Bubba, then though. I forgot Jarvie and Howard. Okay, those are good ones. I don't know. We will have to wait and see. He's right about that. But at the same time, man, this is going to be interesting to see how these SWAC media rankings go. What's going on with Jeff?
Gabriel.
What's going on, Gabriel? What's on your mind?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much.
It's like this right here. Okay, it's like this right here. Now, everything that you're saying, how is all of this going to happen when they don't even suspect that they don't even pick that FAMU is going to win 7 games this year?
Well, there's 2 different things at play, Gabriel. Let me explain that. So Zach or Blue, he put up the MEAC ratings. So that's like a computer generated thing based off, your history, your recruiting and all that stuff. And then there's the SWAC Media Day, which is a week from today. And it's the coaches. The coaches vote on what comes out as far as offensive player of the year. I think he left. But anyway, there's a couple of things. So I want to make sure we're not getting confused. The coaches are what's going to pick the preseason stuff for the SWAC. That's the coach's job. And just based off the conversation I've had with coaches, they're not going to pick JSU to be number 1. They're not. They're probably not going to put any JSU players, or not many of them, in a lot of all conference lists. They're not going to pick a lot of them preseason all conference, not preseason award winners. They're just not, because in a lot of their cases, well, one, because most of them are transfers. Most of the big time players, they're either transfers or freshmen. And 2, they think that these other guys, these other players who are established, who's been at their schools for longer, and some of them who have made noise are just better. They're like, yo, prove to me that Phillip Webb is good. Prove to me that Seven McGee is good. Prove to me that either Jason Brown or Jacobian Morgan or Zay McDonald, or whoever else. Prove to me that they're good. Isaias Guthrie. That's not to say that these guys haven't been good, like an Isaias at another program. That's not to say that Phillip Webb isn't good, even though he didn't play a ton at LSU, or Seven McGee isn't good when he was playing at Oregon, but he ain't done it here. He hasn't done it here. And so, therefore, with that being said, those coaches aren't going to vote for them. They're going to vote for the guys that they've actually seen with their eyes. They're going to vote for the guys that they believe from the jump will be better. Did I see the HBCU Game Day article about Ashley Robinson? No, I did not. What did it say? I'm curious about what it says. Yeah, okay. Isaias is proven in 2021. Now, this isn't hate. This isn't me hating. These are just this is the fact. Isaias hasn't played football in a year. Like, he hasn't played football in a year. Now, when he last played, he was a dog. He was a dog. So it was just an absolute monster. But he hasn't. The reality is he hasn't played football in a game against other people in a year. That's not to say that he just got weak all of a sudden. No, I'm not going to say that. Not trash. And that's not to say any of those other guys at JSU aren't any good. But taking a year off football, they're not going to vote for him anything preseason. They haven't seen him play in a whole entire year. Let's see. Call the numbers on the screen. I don't know. We lost Gabriel, but the numbers on the screen, 727-731-8723. You don't know what we're talking about. JSU was ranked by the FCS media, the media at large, in not one, but two top 25 rankings, joining only North Carolina Central as an HBCU in those top 25 rankings. Let me go ahead and show you that one more time. This was the most recent one by FCS Nation Radio. FCS Nation Radio, on national platform. They had, their top 25. They're at number 11. You see North Carolina Central. Once again, the only other HBCU ranked in either one of these polls. In FCS Nation, they had them at number 11. In Hero Sports, they had them at number 13. And then right there at number 19, you have the good old Tigers of JSU. Now, I mean, it's got to mean something. These guys think highly of Coach T.C. Taylor and his team. What's going on here with Jeff? What's going on, Matt? What's on your mind?
What's going on, brother?
What's going on? What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Mac, JSU.
Talk to me.
Hey, man, I'm going to just say what it is. It's time for football season to start. Ain't nobody getting on here talking now because it's time for the smoke.
But they are quiet. They are quiet because this is the time for people to talk. I mean, they can talk. I'll open it up and nobody's saying nothing. You're right on that, Matt. You're right on that.
The thing is, I know JSU is not going to get picked, but they know in the end, more than likely, we're going to come out ahead of all of them. Only one we got to worry about FAMU, but Willie going to be Willie, so we ain't really got to worry about him because he can't keep up with his own players and talking all that trash. We just lost. Willie being Willie again. So, I'm going to put my money on Jackson State because you see all these, everybody talking all this something. Now they're like church mouse.
I mean, they're real quiet.
Can't get a word out of them no more. I'm going to put my money on Jackson State like I always do.
Hey, man, I ain't mad at you at all, man. I agree because ain't nobody, like any other time, folks would be quick to call up here, but nobody's got nothing to say. I'm literally opening up the phone lines, trying to hear what people have to say about these polls and about what I think will take place next week at SWAC Media Day.
Well, because really, I don't really care about what them SWAC coaches think about Jackson State. They couldn't beat us. So I don't care about them talking about us. And we still got the same coach that was on that sideline. To me, Dion wasn't calling them games. Those coaches were. And TC was one of those coaches. So, every time I ever seen Dion coach himself, things went wrong. Because in my opinion, he wasn't a very good play call. That's just my opinion. Because I noticed when he's calling the plays, they didn't go well. So, I got my faith in TC, and I think the national people do too. TC is a much more serious coach. He ain't about to flash and the dash. He's about his players being on the court and getting out to win. He don't want to be on the internet and on TV. And I like that about TC. And I think that's going to make us a better team. And that's my thanks, sir.
Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Like, hey, and that TC style, well, obviously the national pundits from the FCS, they have to have some kind of belief in TC. Like, I mean, obviously a lot of their metrics and stuff is based off what they think you have as far as talent goes, whether it's from the transfer portal, from your high school recruits, et cetera, et cetera. Like, most of the analytics stuff is based off that. But you have to have, especially when you're voting, you have to have some kind of belief in said coach. You have to, whether you've seen him coach, you've seen him be a play caller, you just met him before, whatever. There's something in you that has to still make you be, especially if they never coached a game before. And for TC to have never coached a game before and to command that kind of respect from national pundits, it means something. I don't know if it means everything, but it means something. At least it means something in the current time being. Now, that's not to say things won't change, because once them actual games get played, we're only in July, but once August, September hits and different things start to happen and different things start to transpire and different guys, step up and different guys shrink and different coaches step up and coaches shrink. Once that start to happen, then we start to really be able to formulate our opinion based off hard physical evidence. But in preseason, it's just educated guesses. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just educated guesses. And with those, you take the information that is compiled in front of you and you make an educated guess. You know what I'm saying? You make a guess. Yeah, coaching does matter. Coaching does matter. And it matters a lot. So I am going to be serious. This is a time for you to defend whether JSU should be ranked in those preseason polls. Because once again, like I told you, this is also a time for you to say, hell no, they don't deserve to be in those polls. I'm just curious of what everybody else has to say, because come next week, I can tell you we'll do a live show after the SWAC Media Day, and I can guarantee you that they won't be picked to win the conference. I can guarantee you they won't even be picked to win the East. Now, whether that is a smart decision, according to the MEAC ratings, according to FCS Nation, according to Sam Herder and Hero Sports, that wouldn't be a smart decision to pick against JSU. Like, think about this. There is some legit data points, whether it's listening to national pundits of FCS, whether it's taking in the analytics ratings, the MEAC ratings, whether it's listening to a multitude of FCS proponents, they believe JSU is still the cream of the crop, not just of the SWAC, but of HBCU football. Them along with North Carolina Central. They actually think North Carolina Central is the best team in HBCU football, bar none. They think North Carolina Central is a borderline top 10 team. Right? They're a borderline top 10 team according to both of these polls. One had them at 11, one had them at 13. And so it's just about whether all of these guys are just way off. Like, are these guys just that delusional and just way off like that? Or whether these guys are smart as hell and this JSU team will be special. like Zoe says. Because Zoe thinks they're going to be very, very special. I don't know what's wow. Like, it's just an observation that I've made. Like, I've made this observation. I think JSU, they're the biggest mystery in the entire SWAC. Like, I think there's some pretty everybody's pretty much a mystery, because any team that's breaking in a new quarterback is kind of a mystery, right? Grambling, they may have the same quarterback in Julian Calvez, or they may break in Miles Crawley. That's a mystery. Tyler Macon at Alcorn. That's a mystery. Alcorn's got a new DC and a new quarterback. Now they've got an established, really, really good head coach. But with a new quarterback and a new defensive coordinator coming off a really good defensive year, that's a mystery. Now you have Jarvian Howard. He ain't no mystery. But you'll have to figure things out. Same with Bethune-Cookman. Same with Southern. You have an established coach, a well-respected coach, but you have a mystery at quarterback. And recently, there's been a mystery when it comes to the best decision-making. We'll have to see how that plays out. You've got Andrew Body coming back for his third year at Texas Southern. Will they take a step forward? Will they be able to be better? Now, last year, they were picked to finish last in the division, and then they finished with a winning record. Can they take another step forward? You've got, there's a ton of teams, a ton of storylines out there. Let's see, your offense is no secret. That's what he ran in the MEAC. Are you saying that that's garbage? Are you saying that the offense is going to be trash? I don't know. I don't know what that means. JSU defense will be number one in the FCS. That's a tough. I mean, that's not to say that it's impossible. You brought in a ton of talent. You have a proven DC that knows what the hell he's doing and makes a ton of plays. And you've got a formula of having a really great number one FCS type of defense. Now, granted, it was other new players and it was a different coaching staff, but you know what it takes to have a number one FCS defense. Let's see. Musa throwing TDs against JSU. Now that's I'm just saying, man. That's a huge mystery. So I'm just saying, man, here's the chance for you to get in here because there is so much to talk about leading into Media Day, which is 7 days from today. But according to the national media, there's no reason to overthink this. The Massey ratings having you be one of the top 5 teams in the country. The FCS pollers have you being a top 20 team in the country, with only one other HBCU even sniffing the top 20. And then you have to prove yourself week 0 against the South Carolina State team, who was coming off a disappointing 2022 season. South Carolina State had a bad year last year. And so they're looking to bounce back. They're looking to be one of the best teams in the MEAC. They're looking to have a way better season. And then in week 1, which is the second week of your season, you play FAMU, who has lost to you 2 straight times in the Orange Blossom Classic. Also a FAMU team who will, along with JSU, as far as I understand, this will be their last time playing in the Orange Blossom Classic. And then you follow that up with rivalry week against one of your biggest rivals in the world, in Southern. So that's a hell of a 3-game stretch. And then you cap off the 4-game stretch with a game against an FBS opponent in Texas State, rather. Texas State. This is how JSU is starting their season. This is a hell of a start to the season. I mean, this was a hell of a way to start the season. You play a South Carolina State team who is looking to prove themselves in the MEAC and is looking to say, like, hey, last year was a fluke, and this is how we're coming this year with a quarterback that's been there for years in Corey Fields. You go week 1, which is the second game of your season, against FAMU, Jeremy Musa. I mean, you got to remember, FAMU got embarrassed at JSU. They got the hell beat out of me. Coach Simmons called it self-inflicted, but they got the hell beat out of them, 59-3. And so they're going to be looking at some revenge. You got Southern, who you beat the hell out of twice last year. You beat Southern twice, and it's at Southern. It's in Baton Rouge, on the road at Southern. You follow that up with at an FBS opponent in Texas State. So this 4-game stretch is brutal. That is a brutal 4-game stretch for a team that's breaking in a new coach, for a team that's breaking in a new coaching staff, and it's breaking in a new quarterback. It's tough. 4 Super Bowls to start the season 4-0. I love it. I love it, man. I mean, this is awesome. This is awesome. Just win. Ignore the chatter. Yeah, and if you're able to do that and make that means you are well deserving of the rankings that they're giving you. If you're able to win and ignore the chatter, you're willing and you're deserving of the ranking that has been given to you. You're willing and deserving of the Massey rating that has been given to you. You're willing and deserving of all the flowers that you are getting preseason from the national media, because guess what? You won't get those flowers at SWAC Media Day. Let me repeat this. Because of all the things that I just said, the new coach, the new coaches, the new coaching staff, the loss of Deion Sanders, the new quarterback, you're not going to get that same love at SWAC Media Day. Just watch. Just watch. A week from today, you're going to be talking about all these different players who are preseason player of the year, all SWAC. Here are the guys that I think at JSU that'll get all SWAC consideration. I don't even know if they'll make it, but they'll get consideration. You're going to have Jalen Hughes, K5, will get all SWAC consideration. Evan Henry on the offensive line. Maybe Rico Powers at wide receiver. That's about it. They might do Seven McGee, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if they will. I don't know. He's the biggest maybe. But everybody else, the Jason Browns and the Jacobian Morgans, those guys aren't getting all SWAC consideration. They're not. They're not. like I said, Evan Henry on the O-line, Rico Powers potentially at the wide receiver, maybe Seven McGee at wide receiver. And then the rest of them will come from defense, whether it's Isaias, Jalen. I think Jalen Hughes and K5 will. I think Jalen Hughes and K5 will make all SWAC teams. I do. I think those guys will make it. Everybody else, it's a big mystery. Devontae Davis. Yes, Devontae Davis. Yes. And I knew it was somebody I was in Jeremiah Williams. Those guys potential. Everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And DJ Stevens. DJ Stevens was an all-SWAC performer last year, so he'll get the preseason nod as well. But I'm just telling, and once again, this just isn't like what I think. This is also based off conversations that I've had with real coaches who vote on these things. With the real coaches that vote on these things. So you're talking about, but think about that. I named about 6-7 guys from a team that the national pundits think will be a top 25 team. I was only able to name there's 2 or 3 all SWAC teams. And the national pundits think this will be a top 25 team. And I named about 6 guys, offense, defense, special teams, on 2 all SWAC teams. 6 guys, Evan Henry, Devontae Davis, DJ Stevens, K5, Jalen Hughes, maybe Rico, Zoe saying Jeremiah Williams. And then it starts getting thin, maybe Seven McGee. So we're looking at maybe 8 guys. There's 11 guys on offense and defense. So there's 22, so there's 44 selections. I'm talking about maybe 8 from a team that just won 12 games. I'm talking about maybe 8 from a team that is preseason top 20, according to the national pundits. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, man. Don't be logical. They hate that, man. I'm just telling, like, I'm trying to be as logical as possible. I'm trying to like, you know what I mean? And if you think differently, there's the number and tell me why I'm wrong. Or if you agree, there's the number on the screen, 727-731-8723. 727-731-8723. Let's see. It says, Jeff, most of us Tigers aren't pressed about the preseason picks. We're ready for the season to start. No, and that's fine. Like, it's easy. I get that. It's easy not to be pressed about the preseason picks when you don't think, at least I don't think. Let me not say you don't, because I don't know what you think. I don't think the coaches will pick a bunch of JSU guys. I think they're going to pick guys that they know, guys that they've seen already. And that includes guys like Jarvian Howard. That includes guys like Jeremy Musa. That includes guys like Sundiata Anderson. That'll include guys like that. Like, I think they'll pick a lot of the guys that they already know and the guys that they see. And a lot of the JSU guys are new when it comes to that transfer portal. There's a ton of them are new. And they're going to say, prove to us that this guy, even though he was ranked a 4-star in high school, even though he's coming from this big-time program, whether it's Oregon or LSU or wherever, prove to me that he's as good as you telling me he is. That's not to say that he's not. That's not to say that he's not. He could be better than what you're advertising. But prove it. And you'll get 4 straight weeks of high-level competition to be able to prove that. Starting with South Carolina State, week 0 on ESPN, national TV. Following that up with FAMU, Orange Blossom Classic, once again on ESPN. Follow that up with the rival game at Southern in Baton Rouge. At Southern, not at home, at Southern. Coming off a SWAC championship loss to JSU. Coming off a 35-0 loss to JSU at Southern. Yeah, you don't think they want a piece of you after that? You don't think that they think that the tide has shifted a little bit? You don't think that? If you don't think that, you don't know what you're talking about. So, and then you followed it up with at Texas State, an FBS team. And then don't sleep on Bethune. Bethune's been able to recruit a little bit. I mean, I think it'll take some time to get that together. Coach Raymond Woody Jr. and those guys. I think it'll take some time to get it together. But these are the things that are on your plate. These are the things that you have to be ready for. These are the things that people like myself and that these coaches are taking into consideration. Or ABC, my bad. On the ESPN family of networks. My bad. ABC, not ESPN. I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah, if I got that wrong. My bad. So I'm just saying, man, these are all this is very interesting, man. This is very, very interesting. What is Avis talking about? I don't know. Cardell Thomas from FAMU has been selected for the Shrine Bowl. Because you got you know this, man. You know this, man. Shout out to my boy Austin, man. It is going to be, I mean, hey, man, like I said, these national guys get paid for their opinion. These national guys, and they're not just pulling this, pulling this out of their hat. They owe Jackson State no favors. They owe them nothing. And they're having them in the top 25. They owe TC Taylor nothing. They owe Ashley Robinson. They owe Zoe nothing. They owe Ken, Miss Rochelle. They owe none of those guys anything. Doc Holliday, She Loves D. They don't owe these people to put them in the top 25, but they did it. Why? Because they think they have a really good freaking football team. They think they have a really freaking good football team. And I just have the feeling that the coaches are going to think differently. He said they owe me. And I just have a really, really good feeling that the coaches of the SWAC, they're going to see things differently. They're not going to have these guys winning the SWAC East. They're not going to have these guys winning the SWAC championship, and they're not going to have JSU representing the SWAC in the Celebration Bowl. Who is going to be right? Are the FCS preseason guys going to be right? If I can ever get this right. Are these guys going to be right? Or are the coaches from the SWAC going to be right? Now, once again, this is all speculation. The polls from the coaches haven't even come out. We still got to wait a whole week for that. But just based off the conversations that I've had, this ain't going to be their thought. They ain't going to be thinking along these lines. A top 20 team in the country, they don't see it this way. The question is, who'll be right? I just want to beat JSU or win the Celebration. That's a good question, man. Well, if there's no more phone calls, man, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all, man, for tapping in with me. This was going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. And we'll do another live stream next week, man, after the SWAC Media Day, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of headlines coming out of the SWAC Media Day, basically about who they think will win the West, who they think will win the East, who will be preseason Defensive Player of the Year, who will be preseason Offensive Player of the Year, who will be the teams or the players who make the all-conference teams, who will be some of the players that get snubbed from the all-conference teams. Also, what do some of the outfits look like? Y'all remember the outfits last year? Y'all remember how Grambling pulled up to that joint? Y'all remember how Grambling was stepping. I talked to Coach Hugh Jackson recently. I forgot to ask him about what they were going to wear at the media day. I can't wait to see what type of outfit they're able to put on. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr., man. This is the Victor Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr., YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your content. Do me a favor before you get out of here. Hit that thumbs up button. Like, share, and subscribe, because this is going to be interesting. We're going to be following this stuff all throughout the season. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Peace.